The first thing I want to ask you is, can we just be quiet right now? Just be.
Yes. That's wonderful. It's like an invitation.
Yes, I would like to be the example to help activate you so that you know this is simple and immediate being. This is what the Course is leading you to, awakening to being, not as an individual or a person, but how would you put it?
Yeah, just really being present, really super present. And just feeling that and saying, this is my natural state. Yeah. It's a huge invitation. That's the simplicity.
That's the simplicity. You can ride the wave of this now. This is what all the books lead to, what all the practices lead to.
Yeah, our teaching is there's nothing to be afraid of. This is not fearful.
Would you say this is the holy instant that we're engaged in right now?
Yeah, this is our opening to the holy instant, because I think as we go fully into it, it's like a blazing abstract light in which everything disappears, everything perceptual, and it was always good teaching from the Course. Don't place the holy instant into the future. Just desire it now. Desire it. You can't seek for it in the future, but you can just desire it. Desire being. Desire that beingness that you talked about.
Would you say that you are actually living not as a person, but as the being that the holy instant leads to, that the atonement culminates in?
Yeah, that's the feeling. It doesn't feel personal at all. It's very vast. But that's where the joy and the laughter come from, because there's nothing to take personally, and you don't cling to anything, you don't hold anything. Yeah. That's the glee of it.
And yet, the personality can be observed, but without getting caught up in it. Is that the way you experience David Hoffmeister now, that he can write a book, you can be on a book tour, unwind the mind, and yet there's a detachment, there's no investment in the outcome. Is it like that for you?
It's kind of like an eclipse, where when you have a total eclipse, then even ideas of writing or speaking or traveling, they seem so funny. Because it's like beingness traveling, or beingness writing, or beingness speaking, and so there was phases where it seemed to be like watching parables come through, and watching as they unfold, and watching as they evolve, but then there's like a merge that comes where where you're really not aware of the passage of time and all the concepts that seem to be of time. So that's what makes it so expansive. So instead of just having like a person having a mystical experience, it's the mystical is the reality, and then you don't focus on any of the specifics, but yet they flow beautifully. Everything continues to just flow, but with no focus.
That's so worth hearing, that it is not the person having the mystical experience. That's an ego trap. If you think that you are having all of these wahoo experiences, you're just in a hamster cycle of egoic enjoyment or pride in spiritual experience. But experience is not anything except a marker on a tree, like if you're in the forest following a path. So it lets you know you're on the path. Again, I want to check if that's, I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's the persons don't have mystical experiences, because when you seem to have one as a person, then if it goes away, then you want it back.
Right.
And that turns into a difficult situation, because then it's like you're desiring something that you believe happened in the past.
If you yearn to recapture a spiritual experience, that's the ego speaking. When you're trying to discern between the voice of the Holy Spirit and the voice of the ego, that's one telltale sign of ego, this yearning to get something back. There's nothing to get back. You are beingness. You are loving light. Now, you're working very hard not to know that.
Yeah, so you can relax and not work hard at keeping something going that isn't really there. You know, trying to maintain an image or maintain a personal opinion of something. Really, any opinion of anything is really just a block to that beingness.
Yes, any opinion, any interpretation, any judgment, any belief.
Yeah. So that's getting back to the Sermon on the Mount. Judge not. You know, there was our teaching, and then now practice that. You know, experience that.
Yes.
That's what we're all about.
Let me put in a plug for your book right now. Could you hand me your book? Because actually, it's the organic moment that David is bringing out his book, Unwind Your Mind. And if you look at this 20-year compilation of questions and answers and stories, it will help you stop interfering. Do you want to say more?
Yeah, it was just, it was really just I've never intended to do anything kind of in this world, including write a book. And so it's just a kind of you might say, a labor of love or an expression of love for those that come and find words or dialogues or inquiry helpful, using a lot of examples and metaphors. And so that's really what this is. It's just been compiled and it's come out. It's very comprehensive, so it's not like, you can go through it and say, well, what about this topic or that topic or anything. It's really undoing linear time. It's undoing all the concepts of linear time and taking you into that emptiness that Jesus talks about it in Lesson 189. Simply do this, be still. Buddha talked about it.
Is Lesson 189 where he says, forget this course, forget this book, and come with empty hands.
Unto your God.
Only unto your God.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And Unwind Your Mind is filled with topics. So if you're interested in relationships, interested in marriage, interested in the world, work issues.
Sickness, health, those kind of things. It just cuts across the whole gamut of everything. Because these basically were students that came together. I didn't go looking for students. They started showing up and just saying, I'm your student. We would spend hours each day just going very deeply into the mind-watching, into the inquiry in a very intimate way, and then it got captured back in those days probably on cassette tapes, but it did make it. It made
this is getting captured on an iPad.
Right. So we're spanning the technology, as we go through this, but it's just seems to be very helpful for people.
Okay, just wanted you to know about it. Now you're using this word inquiry, and the Course says that it's a beginning, not an ending.
Yes.
And Bill Thetford, the transcriber of the Course, called A Course in Miracles Christian Vedanta. And after a while of doing the Course, I became interested in Advaita Vedanta without even really knowing anything about Vedanta, although I've been very involved in yoga. It's kind of funny how Vedanta didn't come up.
Yeah, right. How'd that slip by?
If you do yoga with the ego, you don't find out anything. But the inquiry is everything. This questioning, who and what am I? And the Course talks about this. It says that we are immortal spirit. And it also says the ego asked the first question, which is, what am I? And Vedanta would say the answer is, I am. And then that will lead to pure being.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that?
Yeah. Let's say that I amness is really what is real, what is true, and then there's assumptions, almost like an onion wound, layers and layers of assumptions that are wound over the top of I amness or beingness. And so, you go into the Course, and then there's Jesus saying to learn this Course requires willingness to question every value that you hold. Not one can be kept hidden or will obscure your learning. So when you read a line like that, it just tells you, it gives you the motive for inquiry.
Yes.
That you have to go underneath the concepts, or even in meditation, you're to drop and sink deeper and deeper beneath the trains of thought. And it's the same thing that's been going on in the perennial wisdom, and all of the great spiritualities are really sending us in the same direction. This is more, as Helen Schuckman said, last the pathway to God for intellectuals. There's a lot of intellectual learning that seems to be very good, and it's very praised and glorified in this world, and yet it can keep us from an awareness of being if we're caught up and we believe that intellectual learning is really knowledge.
Right.
And it's not really knowledge in the sense of true beingness, wisdom.
Yeah, I would say intellectual learning is a good first stepping stone, especially for intellectuals. They got to start somewhere. You think you're so smart.
Exactly. Meet you where you believe you are. That's the best thing about it. Yeah, that's the Course.
Yeah. My family definitely prized intellectuality and that kind of gathering of information, and I think it's Dove Fishman who said to me, we're all recovering know-it-alls.
That's good. That's good. Keeps it in perspective. Yeah.
Keeps you humble.
Yeah, it does.